Intelligent people. Assume to know what will make them truly happy. We can't just assume that we know what is going to make us happy. We can't just assume that getting that job or signing that client or dating that person or getting married or moving to that place or looking that way is going to be it. At one point, Christmas made a lot of us more happy than it does now. At one point, a birthday party made us feel a lot more happy than it does now. If money made you happy when you were broke, the same amount of money is not going to make you happy when you're rich. Emotionally intelligent people do not assume being fearful is a sign that they are on the wrong path. A sign that you're on the wrong path is indifference. If you are fearful about something, that is not a sign that you're on the wrong path. You're being pushed towards something. That's intention. Who knows if it always will be the right thing? What we do know is that you're on the right path. It might not lead to exactly where you want, but you're going into a direction you know you need to go into. They know that happiness is a choice, but do not feel they need to make that choice all the time. Happiness is not a sustained state of joy. Being happy is moment by moment. If you were only experiencing one emotion all the time, then that's not living. You're not living. You're just in existence. Living the human experience means that you experience all the emotions. And you should allow yourself to say, I'm not in a happy state right now. Emotionally intelligent people know that a feeling will not kill them. You're not going to die because you're angry. You're only going to die if you start doing stupid things because you're angry. Emotionally intelligent people do not confuse a bad feeling for bad life. When you fight the bad feeling, when you fight the bad day, that is anything but peaceful. If you just come to grips with, this is just not a good day for me. It's not my day. I got bad news. I lost a client. Somebody hit the back of my car on the way to the gym, and I just want to go home, go to sleep, and start this one over tomorrow. That's part of life. If I'm fighting against that bad day, if I'm fighting against that bad feeling, I'm causing war within myself. You're able to have peace when you just accept it. This is a bad stretch of life, or this is a bad day, or this is a bad week. These are bad feelings. But this doesn't make it a bad life. Emotionally intelligent people do not assume to know what will make them truly happy. We can't just assume that we know what is going to make us happy. We can't just assume that getting that job or signing that client or dating that person or getting married or moving to that place or looking that way is going to be it. At one point, Christmas made a lot of us more happy than it does now. At one point, a birthday party made us feel a lot more happy than it does now. If money made you happy when you were broke, the same amount of money is not going to make you happy when you're rich. Emotionally intelligent people do not assume being fearful is a sign that they are on the wrong path. A sign that you're on the wrong path is indifference. If you are fearful about something, that is not a sign that you're on the wrong path. You're being pushed towards something. That's intention. Who knows if it always will be the right thing? What we do know is that you're on the right path. It might not lead to exactly where you want, but you're going into a direction you know you need to go into. They know that happiness is a choice, but do not feel they need to make that choice all the time. Happiness is not a sustained state of joy. Being happy is moment by moment. If you were only experiencing one emotion all the time, then that's not living. You're not living. You're just in existence. Living the human experience means that you experience all the emotions. And you should allow yourself to say, I'm not in a happy state right now. Emotionally intelligent people know that a feeling will not kill them. You're not going to die because you're angry. You're only going to die if you start doing stupid things because you're angry. Emotionally intelligent people do not confuse a bad feeling for a bad life. When you fight the bad feeling, when you fight the bad day, that is anything but peaceful. If you just come to grips with, this is just not a good day for me. It's not my day. I got bad news. I lost a client. Somebody hit the back of my car on the way to the gym, and I just want to go home, go to sleep, and start this one over tomorrow. That's part of life. If I'm fighting against that bad day, if I'm fighting against that bad feeling, I'm causing war within myself. You're able to have peace when you just accept it. This is a bad stretch of life, or this is a bad day, or this is a bad week. These are bad feelings. But this doesn't make it a bad life.
We're live.
Live?
Yes, we're live, sir.
Live and alive. Live and alive. All you come in. All you come in this morning. What a morning. See, we're starting late this morning.
Yeah. Shout out to Uta. Uta is joining us today in the chat.
Shout out Uta Ongo. Ongo. Y'all go check out Uta Ongo's channel. He's always been a supporter of ours as well. Shout out Uta Ongo. Yeah, y'all, this morning has been crazy. You know, we're usually on between 7:30, 7:45, the latest. Obviously, today we're on at the top of the hour because I decided to walk to the office from the gym this morning. I'm like, you know what? Let me walk this morning. It rained a little bit on the way to the gym. Walking from the gym to the office, I was like, all right, the rain's done. Oh, hell no. The rain did not just decide that it was going to come back. The rain came back with a vengeance, and I just literally, I'm still wet. It soaked through my jacket. I was just drying a bunch of papers here. These are actually important papers. Like you can see, this is still wet too. But these are actually important papers, and I'm trying to dry them. So it was a crazy morning this morning. Crazy morning this morning. But, you know, you got to love it. You got to love it. What's good, C? How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. You know, I'm always reading something in the morning, so you know, I just wanted to want to share that. But the question came to mind. Let me just put it up here so people can see. Would you rather be 10 minutes late forever or 20 minutes early forever? And the question came
You said,
from,
would you rather be 10 minutes late forever or 20 minutes early forever?
yeah.
Interesting
And the
question.
question came from, sorry?
I said that's an interesting question.
Yeah. So the question came from this study that was done, and researchers are saying that society is officially split into two tribes: early birds and the chronic laters. The study found that people who are always 20 minutes early experience 15% more peace of mind, but spend a combined total of 6 months of their lives just waiting for other people to show up. Meanwhile, those who are always 10 minutes late have higher adrenaline levels, basically living in a constant state of please, please don't start without me, panic, but report being 30% more spontaneous and creative. So experts are calling it the great punctuality divide of 2025.
Well, why don't you guys put that in the chat? Why don't you guys let us know in the chat? Would you rather be, excuse me, was it 10 minutes late or 20 minutes late? Doesn't matter. Let's call it
It's
15. Let's split it down the middle. Let's call it
yeah.
15. Would you rather be 15 minutes late forever or 15 minutes early forever? Just hit me late or early in the chat. It's a very interesting thing. I always tell people, for me, for myself, I'd rather be early because I'd rather get there, be able to decompress, get my thoughts together, especially if it's an appointment. And I don't feel like I'm wasting time waiting on other people because at the end of the day, I have my phone. I can answer emails. I can answer messages anyways. I can catch up on some phone calls. I could, there's a lot of things that you could do on your phone. And I always tell people when you're waiting for somebody, and by the way, guys, I'm rarely early, just so you guys know, but I try to be, and I rather be early, but I'm rarely early. But my point is that if somebody does wait for me, I always say like, what, I could have been home still. I didn't need to leave as early as I did. Yeah, but whatever you were doing at home, you probably could have did in your car while you're waiting for me anyways. But I rather be early. It just allows me to catch up on things and allows me to gather my thoughts the right way. Uta says, I have the laws of human nature right here. And I was telling someone about it yesterday. Oh, absolutely. What a great book. We're going to jump back into what we were talking about yesterday. We talked about empathy as well. Good morning, Christina. Good morning, Angela. Good morning, Maria. Good morning, Mookie B. Good morning, Tracy. Good morning, Aretha. Good morning, Win Column Team, Codex. All the moderators. I appreciate you guys on the Win Column side and the conversation with Jay side. Good morning, Tracy. I did something interesting yesterday. We're going to see what clips we can get from it. But I was on a show here in New York. It airs. I didn't even know it aired on like 1.4 million local TV stations here in New York. Was talking on a panel with Angie and Lady T in regards to the verdict and the trial and stuff like that. Excuse me. So that stuff will be coming out as soon as we get a few clips. I can't wait to share it with you guys. Some great things were said on that as well. And let's just jump into it this morning because we are running behind. And I want to get my notes to you guys. All right. So just to remind you guys, yesterday he was talking about narcissism. For those of you guys who weren't able to join us, I'm going to give you really quickly what he spoke about yesterday. Yesterday he was speaking about narcissism. He was basically saying that we as human beings, we need attention. We always need attention because the attention that we get from others actually validates us. The issue is there's not enough attention to go around and everybody is competing for attention. So what most human beings are able to do, and by most, I'm not saying most of them are able to do it very well, but most of them are able to do it to some capacity. What most human beings are able to do, because they can't get attention from others, they develop this image. They develop this character, this value trait for themselves. Another word for this is self-image, right? So they create a person within themselves that they respect, that they enjoy, that they tell themselves about, and they usually extend their positive attributes, and then they usually kind of try to either explain away their negative ones or kind of downplay them a little bit. Now, he says the key to doing this is not to go crazy with it, because if you get too unrealistic, then other people are going to let you know, and it's going to burst your bubble that you're not the person that you say you are. But the point that he's talking about is that we create this extension of ourselves, and we call it self-image. And then we find validation in that instead of finding validation in other people. So we say stuff like, I worked hard today, or I worked hard for this position that I'm in, or I worked hard for, my subscribers, I'm a hard worker, or they'll say, you know, I'm an honest person, or these are the type of things that we're talking about, right? You take pride in those things, and you then get validation from yourself instead of getting validation from other people, because there's not enough attention to go around to give you the validation that you actually need. Okay, so that's where he started yesterday. And the term, obviously, for this is called self-esteem, right? So you raise your self-esteem, right? If you transform the way you look through diet and exercise, you're raising your self-esteem, right? So that's what we give ourselves. We give ourselves self-esteem so we can validate ourselves. So we don't need that validation from other people. However, there are a select group of people who are incapable of doing this. There are people out there that either really, really suck at it, or just are absolutely altogether incapable of doing it. And those people are the ones that are narcissistic, right? Now, don't get it twisted. We're all on the spectrum. We all have narcissistic tendencies. He makes that clear in this book. However, the narcissist lacks self-esteem. So the narcissist needs to get that from other people all the time, and that's why they're always in your face. Look at me, look at me. It's all about me. Who cares about anybody else? I need it, because they can't produce it on their own. Their self-esteem is so low that they need to constantly suck the energy out of everybody else just in order to make themselves feel validated. Okay, so now you guys are caught up from that. For the narcissistic portion, he talks about being empathetic, and he gets into empathy. Now, like I said yesterday, he is not a psychologist, as far as I know. If Robert Greene is a psychologist, my bad. But as far as I know, I've seen many interviews with him, and I've seen him on a few podcasts. And I actually follow one of his proteges, Ryan Holiday, who wrote 2 really great books as well, that I'll share with you guys as well. One is Ego is the Enemy. Excuse me. And the other one, remember the top off the top of my head, but Ego is the Enemy was the first book of his I read. Maria says she's a fan of him as well. Nice. Exactly. All right. So jumping back into this, he talks about the fact that, I said he's not a psychologist. So I can't say he can diagnose anybody as an actual true blue, full-blown narcissist. You know what I'm saying? I can't do that either, because I'm not a psychologist myself. But one thing I do know about narcissists that really, really are narcissists, the true blue ones, is they also lack empathy. They actually don't have the capacity or capability to be empathetic, right? And this is what he talks about here, where he starts separating who's really a narcissist from who just has narcissistic tendencies, and how you can use empathy to make you more powerful. Now, remember, I went through 3 types of empathy yesterday. Okay, I went through 3 types of empathy yesterday, because there's this new thought that is just absolutely ridiculous, that is saying we don't need empathy, and empathy is a made-up term, or it's overused, or basically we don't need it, and that's nonsense. First of all, empathy will get you to where you need to be, and we're going to get into that right now. But secondly, I heard this guy. I'm not even going to mention his channel, because I had a back and forth with him, but him and his little partner there, and he started telling me, saying that you can't be empathetic if you've never gone through it, which is just the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. How could you say something so foolish? You can't relate if you've never gone through it. I heard him say, have you ever been a slave? Can you empathize with a slave if you've never been a slave? Yes, obviously, right? So 3 types of empathy. One is cognitive empathy, right? Cognitive empathy simply just means I understand why you feel the way you feel. I don't feel like that, but I understand why you feel like that. It's very simple. And this could go for something positive or negative. You could say, I understand why the person is so excited, right? I'm not excited because it's not happening to me, but I can understand why somebody would be excited winning the lottery. That is on the standard base level of empathy that you could have is cognitive empathy. Empathy just means you understand. I can see what it's like. I'd love to win the lottery too. That's it. That's all that is. This cognitive empathy. It could be something bad. I understand why you're upset. I get it. I get it. If somebody did that to me, I'd be upset too. Nobody's ever done it to me, but I get it. Somebody just did it to you. I understand. That's all cognitive empathy is. It's empathy at its most simple form. Then you have emotional empathy. Excuse me. Emotional empathy means not only do I understand, but I feel your pain. I feel for you, right? I feel what you're feeling. And I feel excitement for you. For example, let's say somebody graduates from university. They worked really hard for it, or they got a new position, or they signed a new client, or they hit one of their milestones in their business, and they're celebrating, they're excited. You can feel excited. That same feeling you can feel for them, even though it wasn't you that graduated. Okay? You can still feel for them, even though it wasn't you that graduated. You could still feel excitement for them. You could still feel happiness for them. So that is emotional empathy, a little bit deeper. Now, if you get into compassionate empathy, let's say, compassionate empathy would be, I not only feel for you, but I'm also doing something about it. So in the same example I gave you, somebody graduated, you also threw them a graduation party and invited their closest friends and hired their favorite musicians or DJs and all of that. You were so excited, you felt for them, and you have compassionate empathy. If it was something bad, for example, like they lost a loved one and let's say they lost a child, God forbid, and you don't even have a child to lose. How could you feel for that person? Well, you still can, right? You can feel pain, sadness, not to the level of their feeling. You'll still feel sadness. And if you start doing things to help them, maybe help them plan a funeral or help them do things that they can't do because they're in the middle of holding their family together or something like that, that is compassionate empathy. Okay? So this whole stupidity where people go around running their mouth thinking that they're smart when they sound foolish is getting on my last nerve, to be honest with you. Read a book instead of just listening to yourself on your own channels. And that's just where I'll leave that. All right. So after he talks about that, he talks about how empathy is a skill that will get us to be successful in this life. He goes, in our earliest years, we feel completely bonded to our mothers, and we can sense her every move and feel all of her emotions in a pre-verbal way. I'm paraphrasing, by the way. He says, and humans are unique in that they have the ability to extend this beyond their mother. They can also expend it to their caregivers as well, like other caregivers. Okay. He says that the powers of empathy largely lie dormant these days in people for the reasons we discussed on yesterday's live. If you want to see yesterday's live, it's not on this channel anymore. You have to go to the Win Column channel. The link is in the description. And you can watch all of the lives that we do in the morning. You can watch all of our 7:30 a.m. lives on the other channel. We house them on the other channel, although we do air them on both channels. Okay? All right. So as we spoke about yesterday, these phones, social media, the way the world is wired today, or at least the software it's running on today, it causes us to not have conversations and understand people and relate to people and be out in the world like Go, for example, who's actually out there having conversations, talking to people, and he's going to have a higher level of empathy than somebody who's kind of just staying alone, kind of isolated a lot on their phone or playing video games a lot or locked up watching Netflix. You're not going to have a lot of human interaction, whether in person or just over the phone or through text or something like that, to understand other people's positions, point of views, value systems, things like that. Okay. You're not going to have a lot of opportunity to do that. So naturally, you're going to lack empathy more than the person who does. So he says the powers of empathy largely lie dormant in our body because of this day and age self-absorption, right? He goes, however, the ones that are able to unlock these powers tend to be very successful in this world. The ones who are able to unlock these powers tend to be very successful in this world. He says those who practice this empathy oftentimes become superior social observers in the arts and sciences and therapists and leaders of the highest order. Okay, these are the people. Remember, this is a leadership channel. We talk about empathy here because, as he says in his book, which I agree with, the best leaders are the most empathetic. And that's exactly what he says here. The leaders of the highest order. He said the need to develop the skill of empathy is greater than ever now. And like any skill, empathy comes through quality of attention. So you have to work on it. You got to actually practice it. So it gives you some practical things that you can do to become more empathetic because it makes you more successful. It gives you a one-up on everybody else when you can understand where the person is coming from. Because if you can do that, you can understand what they're going to do, the way they're going to think, how they're going to think. I'm going to give you an example. If you're in my world, like the business world, and I'm working on a negotiation, and I know somebody is a part of a particular culture, okay, which just happened yesterday, by the way. I know somebody is part of a particular culture. I'll know how to negotiate with them differently because they're part of a particular culture. I'll know, okay, this culture negotiates like this, so I can already see where they're going, what they're going to do next. All right. I was on with one of my agents yesterday. He was on a call with somebody. He put it on speaker because he needed help with this lead, with this client, and the client was telling him, yeah, I need to be on maximum. The max floor I could be on is 3 floors. I don't want to be on any floor higher than 3 floors. And I could hear her accent. And he said to her, what if there's an elevator in the building? Can I get you something that's higher than 3 floors? And I just immediately started saying, no. And he looked at me like, what? After the call, obviously he couldn't say anything because it was on speaker. I said, after the call, I said, do you hear her accent? She's from, and I gave the country. And then I said, it's a superstitious thing that they have. And I explained this particular thing because I knew this from other clients of mine who were from the same region on the planet. And so I said, immediately you got her, you told her you didn't understand why she didn't want to go from, go past 3 floors up. Immediately you told her you don't get her. So you got to be careful with that stuff by assuming that she just didn't want to go on a high floor because she didn't want to take the stairs. But it makes you see how being empathetic, understanding other people's perspective, point of views, where they're coming from, all that stuff makes you more valuable as a human to those people around you and to yourself. That's why you will be one of the more successful ones if you develop this skill. Okay. Where was I? Yes, he says, the more you develop the skill, the better you will get, the more successful you'll be. He says, our culture oftentimes sensationalizes supreme value of the individual and individual rights, which also makes it more difficult for us to put somebody else first and to hear what they're saying and understand them. And he says, you find more and more these days that people cannot imagine that others have a different perspective because people are caught in the algorithm. Right? They're caught in this algorithm that just shows them the same loop of things. And you wouldn't even imagine that somebody had a totally different opinion oftentimes. He said more and more today, people can't even imagine that somebody else has a totally different perspective. And it's happened to me. I couldn't tell you how many times in my life I've said, people think this? People actually believe this? I've been shocked many times. It happens to me all the time. Okay, so then he goes, develop your empathic muscle and build more empathic energy, because when you do this, you'll find more and more people want to be around you and support you, because empathy creates its own upward positive momentum. He goes through a few components of empathy and to build a skill set. One of the components he goes through is called the empathetic attitude. He says empathy is more than anything. Empathy is more a state of mind than anything else. He says the greatest danger to empathy is thinking that you really understand people and you quickly judge and characterize them. And repeat that. He says the greatest danger to empathy is thinking that you really understand people and thinking you can quickly judge and characterize them. He says we must begin with the assumption that we are ignorant and that we have natural biases that will make us judge people incorrectly. That part right there, that natural biases that will make us judge people incorrectly, is a belief that we have to begin with, right? It's not, I know people, I know how to read people. Get that out of our heads and say, I don't know people the way I think I know people. And even if I did, I have natural biases that are going to cause me to read this person incorrectly anyway. So let me just take a step back and try to understand, because whatever I'm already thinking, I don't even realize it. It's natural to me. I don't even realize I'm doing it. And it's going to impede my judgment of their character. He goes, let go of the tendency to make snap judgments. Open your mind to seeing people in a new light. Do not assume that you are similar or that they share your values. I'm going to say it one more time. Let go of the tendency to make snap judgments. Open your mind to seeing people in new light and do not assume that you are similar or that they share your values. Excuse me. All right. So that's how we adapt the empathic attitude. Number one. Okay. Then he talks about starting with numerous conversations that we have every single day. So he says every day we have conversations with other people. In those conversations, we should resist the urge to talk and instead try very hard to listen and understand. This also comes from scripture. Scripture talks about being quick to listen and slow to speak. Okay? The word talks about being quick to listen and slow to speak. Yesterday, during the show, after the show, the producers and the directors came up to me and they were like, you need to learn to talk in front of women a lot better. And I said, well, I grew up with all women, my mother, my grandmother, my aunties, my older cousin who was like a sister to me. Like I was the only boy in the house. And then my younger brother after me came along. But I learned very quickly to be quiet when women are talking when I was young. But they were saying, you got to talk more on the show because they didn't feel like that I spoke enough. I said, I have my own YouTube channel. You guys want to hear me speak? Go to that channel. Because I am very slow to speak. I am very quick to listen. And it allows me to get a one-up on people because they'll tell you everything you need to know if you would just shush. Now, on this channel, it's conversations with Jay. I'm Jay, so I'm going to talk. But outside of this channel, and outside of doing it for my work or whatever, I don't speak that much. And I find it very, very helpful to be very quick to listen and slow to speak. Very valuable. Okay. He goes, for instance, one of the things that we do is when we make a mistake, we attribute our mistake to circumstances that pushed us into doing it. So I wrote this really, really fast, guys. So some of the spell check that it automatically did mess it up. But yes, he says, when we make a mistake, we attribute the circumstances that pushed us to making that mistake to, that's the reason why. That's the reason why. And he goes, but when others make a mistake, we say it's a character flaw. Okay? Again, we give ourselves grace. We make the mistake and we say, yeah, I made the mistake, but that's because of X, Y, and Z. Others make the mistake and it's because they're not a patient person. They don't have patience, or they aren't strong enough, right? So for them, it's a character flaw. For us, it's because of the circumstances that led us to the mistake, that pushed us into the mistake. And what he says is, give others the same benefit of the doubt that you give yourself. Give others that same benefit of the doubt that you give yourself. If you're going to say for yourself, there are circumstances that push me into it, then try to understand the circumstances that push them into the mistake that they made. Shout out Christina. Christina says, yep, that's in the Bible. Most people don't do that. It's true. Most people don't. Right? Okay. Then he talks about visceral empathy. I'm going to wrap up here because I am actually running late for my bottom of the hour appointment. All right. Visceral empathy. This is the empathy that you can detect through the tone of their voice, through the energy that they give off. And oftentimes, if you're paying attention, you'll notice that the tonality doesn't match. When somebody says something, I just added this, it's not in the book, but I added a perfect example, is when somebody says, I'm not angry. Well, you sound kind of angry to me. Like, I'm calm, okay, I'm calm. Oh, you don't sound very calm to me. That would be a most obvious example, right? But oftentimes, it will come very subtly. When someone, you ask somebody, you say to somebody, hey, how you doing? They're like, I'm good. Things are good. But you could tell they're not, right? You could tell in their tone that things aren't good, right? That's the, wait, what's wrong? Tell me, let's talk about it. I'm listening, right? So he says that oftentimes we can also connect our energy with that person by mirroring and matching their tone. Here's the thing. If somebody's tone is in if somebody's speaking with a low level, low vibration tone, which would be something like sad or distracted or worried about something, if I start speaking in that tone, my energy actually goes into sad or worried or distracted about something. If somebody's excited about something and they're speaking in an excited tone, and I speak in an excited tone too, then actually my mood goes up. And if somebody's talking like this and doing this, and I'm doing this, and I'm speaking in an exciting tone, my mood goes up too. Well, what happens is then we can match that person's energy by mirroring them. And then we can say, okay, I'm feeling whatever they're feeling right now. I'm there with them in that same energy right now. You understand what I'm saying? And so he says that then gives us a glimpse into their world, because you're going to view the world differently based on how you're feeling at that time. Physically, even. Tony Robbins talks about this. Tony Robbins talks about the thoughts and ideas you have at one vibration. I went to a Tony Robbins event a couple of years ago, and he killed this, by the way. He was talking about in one vibration of energy will be totally different than the thoughts and feelings and ideas, even the ideas you come up with, the things you say, all that in a different energy and a different vibration. Like your physical state actually will change it. So you can now start thinking on their wavelength if you can tap into that energy, tap into that spirit right there with them. You understand? So he's talking about visceral empathy, which is unseen, but it's in the ether. All right? Then he talks about, and this is the last one I'm going to talk about, because he does go to 4, but 4 was basically just building the skill, which was exactly what we've just been talking about all morning. The last one he talks about in order to build the skill is analytic empathy, which is gathering information, understanding people's values, their culture, their likes, their dislikes. He even talks about learning a lot from the person that the person is in a romantic relationship with, right? you can learn a lot from who somebody chooses to be a life partner with, or a marry, or whatever, right? He talks about gathering information. So you ask questions. Hey, what was it like growing up when? Oh, what was it when you were a child, did this, this, and that? Oh, do you value this? Do you value that? What is your religious background, right? What country do you come from? What country do you live in? Where did you grow up, right? These are all analytical things where he's saying if you can gather this information, then you can start seeing the world through their eyes as well, right? The Laws of Human Nature, a great book. Again, Robert Greene, amazing author. He also wrote 48 Laws of Power. And I really encourage you guys to check this book out. I recommend it. And I will tap into this book a few times this month. It's actually it's my first time reading this book, by the way, because a lot of the other books I go through in our morning lives, I've read multiple times, but it's been sitting on my shelf a while. I just haven't read it yet. Actually, I think since 2018, my friend G, he was on our channel actually, way back. He was on our channel during when we were talking about the Puff trial. He recommended this book to me a long time ago, and I just didn't read it. And so I'm reading it now, and I'm very, very impressed. All right, guys, I got to run, but I appreciate everybody being on today. I apologize for being late. Rain happened, and I was so annoyed because I was getting soaked. So I call C, and I'm like, we're going to have to push the live back. And I go and show him a video of it raining. And he goes, it's like pouring rain. Like, it's like torrential downpour. I can't even step out without getting soaked. And I'm almost at there. I'm about 15 minutes away. And I tell him, and he goes, okay, so how long is the delay going to be? When should I set it for? And I go, I don't know. Ask God. Like, I don't know when this is going to stop. Like, ask God. And then you let me know what God says. Anyways, either way, we made it. I'm dry, almost dry now. And I appreciate all of you guys joining us this morning. You guys go and be great, because greatness is a choice, and that choice is made every single moment in every single day of your life. Have a good one, y'all.
Your rags in the air like a chopper. Hennessy punching Johnny Walker. Somebody tell the police they just can't stop us. Like a helicopter. Spin out your rags in the air like a chopper. Hennessy punching Johnny Walker. Somebody tell the police they just can't stop us. Oh, when me choppers them. 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 Rags with me, flash with me, rags with me, flash with me, rags with me, flash with me. Yo, spin your rags in the air like a chopper. Wave your rags like a helicopter. Spin out your rags in the air like a chopper. Round and round like a helicopter. Spin your rags in the air like a chopper. Wave your rags like a helicopter. Spin your rags in the air like a chopper. Hi, choppers fly, helicopters. We drunk cause we drink like a fish in the water. So high is like the world spinning faster. Dripping with sweat but it don't really matter. The music making me ball out. We see ladies and we call out. Them girls and them whining all out. Look a fight in the back, them brawl out. What? Me no business about that. Girls on me mind, so me thinking about that. Woman in the place, so me hunting for that. Bumpers in me face, so me on the attack. Just give me Henny, yo, give me Stack. Racial thing, white oak, Johnny Black. Oh gosh, I gotta catch a jet lag. 1919 does have me feeling high. Like a helicopter, spin out your rags in the air like a chopper. Hennessy punching Johnny Walker. Somebody tell the police they just can't stop us.